Okay, so today's date is September 16th, 2019, right? That's the right date? Yeah, okay. My name is Daniel Bradfield. I'm the oral historian for the Orange County Regional History Center, and with me is
Alexandra Chichenong. I am one Orlando oral history archivist.
And then today we're interviewing
Alejandro De Jesus.
Okay. So this interview is being conducted as a part of our effort to collect interviews with the keepers of the Heritage Art Collective. This interview is being conducted at Mr. De Jesus' home in St. Cloud, Florida. Okay? All right.
Yes, sir.
So the first question that I'd like to ask is, who's the oldest family relative that you've ever met?
My oldest family
Relative.
my grandmother.
Yeah.
She passed away a long time ago.
Yeah. So what was she like when you met her?
She was very lovable. She was the one that really raised me.
Oh. Okay.
Yes, because my mother and father were separated.
Oh. Okay.
So I lived with my father, my aunt, and my grandmother. Very lovable, and she gave me a lot of love. That's what I remember the most. You know.
Did she ever have any stories about her life growing up in Puerto Rico or anything like that you remember?
Stories. I was very young. I don't remember that much about her. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So, how long has your family lived in Puerto Rico?
My family.
Mm-hmm.
I
just kind of generally.
Yes, I some members of my family, like my mother and my younger brother, rest in peace, and my other brother, older than I am, lived in the States before I did.
Oh, okay.
My mother was a nurse in Manhattan, the Presbyterian Medical Center, and my older brother came to live with her when he was already in high school, and he later joined the Navy. And my younger brother, half brother, lived with my mother until she died, 1963.
But before your parents, had your family always lived in Puerto Rico? Had they moved there from somewhere else?
Other than my mother and my brother, my older brother, my younger brother, there may have been other members of the family, but I wasn't close to them.
Gotcha. Okay.
That lived in the United States. Yeah, most of them. Most of my family lived in the island in Puerto Rico.
Okay. You talked about your mother's occupation. What did your father do?
My father was a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
And he was also in politics. He at one time he was a candidate for the island is divided into 8 districts. For the Puerto Rican Senate, and he was a candidate as a senator for one of those districts. I feel very proud about my father.
What did he run on? What was his ise?
Well, in Puerto Rico, there mainly at 3 political parties. One is pro statehood.
Okay.
Another one is pro status quo, which is Commonwealth of Puerto Rico, which requires a little explaining. And the other one is pro independence.
Okay.
Independent from the United States.
How popular is independence?
Right now, it's less than 2%.
Okay.
Yeah, very few people. It used to be stronger. At one time, they had, I think, like maybe 12%. That was the
Oh.
most. That was the most. But between right now there is a 50-50 balance of the pro-statehood and Commonwealth Party.
Mm.
I would say pro-statehood has more, has
Yeah.
maybe 53-54%.
I wonder if it's more popular because there's now like some like some mainland politicians are talking about like Puerto Rican statehood. So I wonder if that affects like if it will be like when it seems more possible if there's like more support for statehood.
It is being. I mean, through time, through the years, pro-statehood has been gaining ground.
Yeah.
But it goes back and forth, you know.
Yeah,
Because
that makes
it's a difficult situation because we have a Spanish heritage, which is very strong. Our language, our food, and a lot of Puerto Ricans, many Puerto Ricans have not traveled to the United States, except maybe for Disney World in Orlando, you know, and they really don't understand the kind of melting pot that, you know, the many ethnia in the States. You know, they don't understand that, and that makes it difficult to get everybody together so that we could can apply for statehood.
Gotcha. Okay.
From my own point of view, of course.
Yeah. So with your father's like candidacy?
My father was pro-statehood.
Oh, okay. Were you involved in his campaign at all? Were you
No,
too young for it?
I was very young.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I was raised with my other two brothers, older than I, and I was very young at that time. It was much later when I was, of course, I started college when I was 28.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because I went into the Navy and I really dropped out of high school. I'm a high school dropout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't like school, and
Well, I get that. Yeah.
and I got. I mean, I was a. You know, I lived like an accidental life. You know, I ran from one place to another. I guess I was searching for myself, in a way. You know.
Go back. When and where were you born? Just to make sure.
I was born in the island,
Okay.
March 5th, 1944, and I attended public school
Okay.
until the time that I was in what was it, 11th grade,
Okay.
and then I came to live with my mother in New York City.
Why did you move to New York?
Well, my father and my mother, I guess they decided that it would be good for me to come to the States, and maybe I wasn't doing the right things in Puerto Rico. You know, I was kind of problematic. That's a euphemism.
Yeah.
I wasn't behaving. In other
Gotcha.
words, yeah.
What would you? I mean, what kind of stuff would you do? I mean, not going to school?
Yes,
or-
I was. Yeah, I wasn't going to school. I would get out of the house like I was going to school, but then I would go to San Juan, or I would, go someplace else. You know? And of course when the report cards came, I'd have to do something. At one time, I remember that I forged I got a hold of the card, and I'm not proud to say this, but I forged it and I showed it to my father. And he's doing good, So I really, I wasn't on the right road, you know.
Mm.
But that changed all, you know, I changed all that after the Navy. I think I started seeing the light.
When you
Of going to college and all that.
Yeah.
I got some good friends in New York City.
when you were living in Puerto Rico, what was it like growing up? You know, what would you do in your spare time?
I was in the, yeah. Well, we didn't have much money, and I'd have to, I lived next to a ballpark,
Okay.
and I'd, you know, get on top of the fence and walk on the fence towards the bleachers, and get on the tower, you know, the towers with the lights, lighting up the field. I'd get up there. I didn't get electrocuted.
Well, that's good.
That's good.
Yeah.
I did all kinds of things. I'd watch for the balls. You know, when they came out of when they batted the balls out of the park, you get a hold of those balls and sell them. When the fans came out of the ballpark, I'd sell those to them. I'd sell fritters. You know, I don't know if you know what an alcapurria is. Alcapurria is a fritter with meat inside.
Oh, okay.
There was an old lady that used to make them, and I'd have a bucket of those, and I'd get some commission for selling those. And they would let me in for free in the park.
Mm-hmm.
And after I sell those, then I come back for some more. You know, keep going back and forth. Or, well, I do all kinds of things to make some money. You know, sell mangoes and you know that kind of thing. Yeah, it was and I'd mix myself up with the wrong kids. Like I said, I lived like I said accidental life. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't get into prison or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't on the right track, on the right road.
So when you, I know you said that growing up you didn't have a lot of money. When you would sell stuff, was that to help the family, or was that just so you could buy things?
So I could go to the theater, you know, to the movies. That was a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
Buy comic books, which I loved. You know, I loved the comic books, and that's when I think my art came. I've been an artist ever since I can remember. Right? I loved the comic books, and I used to draw the superheroes and all the little figures in the comic books. And I used to get into the theater, the movie theater, and love the movies. You know. Anything visual just mesmerized me, just interested me very much.
Is there like any early movies that you remember, like just loving, or going to a lot, or anything?
The early movies were cartoons, you know, cartoons.
Oh, yeah.
At that time, I remember it was the Mickey Mouse, and of course Disney, you know, Mickey Mouse, and the one, the mouse Mighty Mouse, also Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, he was good.
And the cowboy movies. Yeah, all kinds of. Mostly kids, you know, movies.
Growing up, was your family religious?
Religious?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's interesting. My aunt, who never married, you know, she every day she would in the morning. The church was behind our house, Okay, and she'd go she had the key to the church, and she'd prepare the altar. We were Catholic, and you know, clean up the altar and take care of things before the priest came in. You know. And I was made to go to church, even to be an altar boy. So you can see the between my real life and what I was made to do, you know. Mm-hmm. So as I recall that, you know, it's very, very funny. What else? They would make me paint. They had like Christ and the Virgin, and they would, you know, make me paint. I guess they thought I had some talent, mm-hmm. and they'd buy some paint for me, and I would gladly, you know, paint all the saints. They were sculptures, you know, sculptures, and I give them some color. And that was the relationship that I had with my aunt. Of course, sometimes on Sunday, I was given a quarter to put into the box. How do you say?
Yeah, the box. Yeah.
To put into the box, and I'd say that I'd go. I wanted to go to the church in town, because we lived in the outskirts. Mm-hmm. And I, instead of going to church, I'd go to San Juan with my quarter.
What could a quarter buy you?
Well, at that time, I could get into the movie theater. That's funny, really.
Yeah.
I'm 75 right now, and I think, as I think about that, you know, it's what
so
I straighten, you know, I straighten things out, you know, eventually.
I know you said that your aunt was really religious and you go to church on Sundays. Would there be anything else, you know, did you go to, I know you said like public school, but, you know, like a Bible study or like anything after
Yes, for the first communion, mm-hmm. I had to, I was really good in the, how do you call those, Sunday school, that's mm-hmm. what they call it. I won an electric train. Oh, for being the best in the group, you know, I learned all the names of all the saints and all that. everything that was taught, you know. Of course, at that time, the sister, how do you call it? The nuns were all American. Of course, they spoke Spanish. Mm-hmm. And but they wore, I remember they wore these black tunics, you know, with the white thing, you know, very, very formal, not like now.
And I think too, the services would have been in Latin, right?
That's right. At that time, the priest, would turn his back to the congregation, and he would, you know, everything he would do facing the altar. Mm-hmm. And also there was a fence between where the priest was and the altar boys, mm-hmm. and the congregation. And when you went to take the communion, you kneel at that fence. You know, you weren't allowed to go further than that. And it was, like you said, it was only in Latin. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very, very formal.
Do you remember being taught anything about, you know, gay or lesbian people or anything growing up? You know, anything gay or lesbian people? You know,
gay?
Yeah.
At that time, I mean, when I was young, there was a lot of prejudice, you know. Mm-hmm. If somebody was found to be gay, then they would single that person out. You know, I mean, of course, I didn't see any violence against, you know, anybody, but there was talk, you know, talk. Everybody knew that such and such a person was gay, and, you know, like It's not like now, where it has gotten free, the freedom, which is more just in my view.
Okay, so what did you think of New York when you first got there?
Oh, it was like I was in the movies, When I first went to Manhattan, of course I didn't know the language. All I knew was how to say my name and a few sentences. And I was at the beginning I was very shy because I couldn't communicate. I couldn't. And I used to see the kids. I was 15 at that time when I first came to New York City, and I saw them play. I saw the kids playing stickball on the street and all of that, and I liked that. I liked that. And it seemed to me like a cleaner, a cleaner mind. There wasn't so much evil. I saw it like a movie, like everything's so orderly. One of the things, even today, what strikes me the most about the United States is the order. I admire that. It's very important for me, the order, and even today.
What do you mean by order?
It has to do with the culture, I think. Yeah, my wife and I talk about that a lot. I think in general, I would say Spanish. This is my own point of view.
Yeah, of course.
And there's a lot of people agree with me. A lot of my own people, my own Latino people. We tend to be more emotional than Anglo-Saxon people. Like we talk. You get 3 or 4 of us, and they all talk about the same at the same time. And other people figure, how we can understand each other if everybody talks at the same time. And when you listen to Americans, people, one speaks and the other one listens. And, that's one of the ways, that I think reflects the order. Okay, and I know. Anyway, the dedication to work. It seems that we how can I phrase this? We tend to think always outside the box. And when you do that, it becomes the standard, which shouldn't be. Right? The standard is what's inside the box. I'm speaking, metaphorically.
Mm-hmm.
How can I say? Yeah, it has to do with the emotions. We are like more emotionally, and we let it out when we should. We should think before we do. See, most of the time, right? Latinos tend to do that. Tend to be more emotional in the contact, and that creates a problem. Sometimes, a lot of times. I don't know if you see it that way.
Yeah, you can.
You do?
Yeah, yeah, somewhat. Yeah. Well, especially the one thing that struck me is, like you said, the getting all in a room and talking at the same time. Because my in-laws do that exact same thing, and my grandparents did too. but my in-laws are like,
Oh, because
if my in-laws
They are
are
Spanish.
all, yeah, they
They're
are,
Latino.
they're all Mexican.
Oh, so you say.
And when they get in a room together, it sounds like 200 people are in a room because they all talk over each other constantly.
Mhm.
And but it is like it's a thing. It's just a thing. It's everybody trying to say what they think all at the same time. I think to me though it's not like about order. It's about like saying that like it's important. It's like almost like a cultural belief that it's like important to express yourself as much as you need to, and that expression is important. And where more, I think, like more in like America, like Western culture, American culture, however you want to phrase it, can be more kind of buttoned up. Where like it's less important for people to express themselves and how they feel and what they think. Where like Spanish culture is a lot of like it's important for you to say what you mean as often as you can, and that expression has like some meaning. Just
when you take when you have let's say 3, 4, or 5 people or more to do a job which requires coordination and order so that you can accomplish the goal, then that particular way of being is not conducive to
that's true.
to efficiency.
That's true.
In that way, the American has the advantage.
Possibly.
And I believe that's what has made this country great, because they have learned, even though there are differences, and some of those differences are very apart, and they have learned how up to now they have learned how to deal with that in a way that gets the job done. That in this country, one president gives the power to another without firing a bullet.
Yeah.
And when you compare the politics here to the politics in South America, in all those countries, and I mean, I watch the news. I used to watch them more before that, more than now. But there's a lot of violence, a lot of the leaders don't want to give up the power, and that creates problems. And the way they talk, the emotional thing, they get people involved.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to watch, like, especially like South and Central American like leaders give speeches. So it's a lot more fiery. There's gesticulation. People are shouting into a microphone. I like it more. I mean, it's a lot more fun to watch,
Right.
but it's definitely a different style.
But you have to think about the contents.
No, yeah, that's true.
What they are saying, what they plan to do.
That's true.
Like I don't know. That's the way I think about it. Even though it's my kind of people, my own. Well, that's why things are the way they are. I think.
Yeah.
That's why I said, when we were in my studio there, I said that politics and economics explains everything.
Yeah.
Everything, all the answers are in politics and economics.
Yeah.
Most answers, anyway.
Yeah. So going back to you personally, so you get to New York. Have you dropped out of high school yet, or do you start going to high school in New York?
Yes, I started going to high school, and they placed me in ESO.
Oh, the English as a second language.
English as a second language. I had about three or four subjects on English as a second language, and 2 with the mainstream.
Gotcha.
I remember they placed me in mathematics in mainstream and in Spanish.
Oh.
I was taking Spanish. I remember the teacher one time asked me to read, read aloud, and I was going so fast that it was slower. And in mathematics, I did very good. I did very good. Of course, it was. I remember I was studying geometry, which I liked. I like geometry.
I think you're the first person in my entire life I've ever met that liked geometry. I honestly think that. I firmly believe that. I think you're the first person I've ever met that liked geometry.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
It has a very structured, you have to prove a certain, it goes in stages, and you keep proving until you get to the bottom, where you have proven what you were set out to prove. It's very interesting, and everything has to do with visual. The triangle. See, that's why. See, it all relates to my art. It's very interesting. Of course.
I'm the second one.
Okay, so that's it. There's the
I
first two
always
people.
like geometry.
I've never met. I even have friends that like majored in mathematics or were really good at mathematics, and none of them, like to a man, nobody liked geometry. I liked statistics. I wasn't good at it, but I thought it was interesting.
I love statistics.
Yeah, I thought statistics
I was very good in
Yeah.
college in statistics.
Yeah. It was one of the few things that kept me in a BA for psychology. I actually enjoyed statistics.
Humbly speaking, I was the first in my class in statistics in college.
Oh wow!
I love that. I love statistics. Yeah, probabilities.
Oh yeah.
It had to do with probabilities, and I would go out of the class and find out what are the chances of something happening, and I'd have fun doing that.
So you graduated from high school in New York?
I never graduated from was George Washington High School.
Okay.
I think I was in up to the 12th grade. I never finished.
Oh.
And I dropped out and I started working in a hotel.
Why did you drop out?
There was no connection. I didn't find any connection with the teacher, with the people. I guess the language. As I think back, and I didn't find a friend. I had some Latino friends, but they were most of them were from other. They weren't from Puerto Rico. I remember Ecuadorian, Colombian. I no connection. I didn't find any connection. I got bored. I wanted something. I guess I always wanted to explore. Explore the world. What was out there? I started going. When I was 17. I think 18 is a drinking age, right?
It was at the time, yeah.
18, and I was not 18.
You would have been at 18 from 44, you would have been 61? No. I don't know, sometime like that. But yeah, the drinking age was 18 for a while.
18, and I wanted to go into a bar to find out what was going on, why. And I got this old man drunk, drunk, and I told him, I got some money, and he didn't have any money. So I got some money. Let's go into a bar. You just have to tell me that I'm your grandson or whatever, And I did. I went to a bar, and I remember I was wearing my dark glasses. Asked for a beer and everything. I wanted to explore the world, to say, find out what was going on. I don't know. I had all these crazy things in my mind. I wanted to live fast and, see. I always tell my sons and I tell them, the boss is going to leave you. You're going to miss the boss. I tried to tell them, the same thing to my son and my daughters. Now I try to teach all this wisdom of the world. Well, I guess they have learned some, you know.
So when you dropped out, what did you?
Okay, it was when I was in high school, before I dropped out, I started working for this Jewish couple, an old couple. They used to sell clothes in a small store, and I would help them, do some chores and things, and they would pay me, and I started earning some money. So I guess I learned the power of money, and I think I did some other things to make some money, and then I started working part-time at the hotel, operating an elevator.
Okay.
I got some permission from my mother to work at the hotel. So from there, I think that was what gave me the cue to leave school and just work full-time at the hotel. So I started working full-time at the hotel and I quit school.
Do you remember how much you were making hourly?
Yes, I do. About $45 per week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I started making about $45. Yeah.
With that job, was that job unionized? Were you?
Yes, that was after union dues.
So how long did you work in the hotel?
3 years. Yes, I worked as I always tried to go up, but my way. Mm-hmm. I started to. I applied to be a bellboy, which they made more money. Mm-hmm. So I became a bellboy, and I'd get the salary plus the tips. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I'd be a doorman, which I remember I didn't have any driver's license, and they asked me to park a car, and I did it. I don't know how I did it, but I parked the car. And from there, I started because as a bellboy, you work the 3 shifts. Mm. Every 3 months they switch you to another shift. So when I was working the night shift from 11 at night until 7 in the morning, sometimes there wasn't anything to do. Maybe 2 or 3 at night or whatever, and I'd walk into the office, and watch this person, this employee working on a large. They used to call it a house transcript sheet, and there, because the building had 24 floors. And each column, there was 24 columns, and then he would place the money, the money that they made on each room per floor. So I studied that, I just by watching him and asking questions. Excuse me. And they also have daily rates, weekly rates, and some monthly rates. There were some people that were living there permanently. Hmm. So, and I remember there were 3 colors: one black, blue, and red. And I think they were for the kind of rate, the daily, monthly, and daily, weekly, and monthly. So I memorized all this. And one time at night there was a fight inside, not a physical fight, but brawl. It's in work. There was an argument between that employee that was doing the house transcript sheet and another employee. and they had to call the general manager who used to live in the penthouse up. They call him, and he fired the guy that used to prepare that sheet. And I was there. And so the general manager started to do it, and I told him, I can do that. I told him I can do that. And he said, let me see you. And when he saw me, he said, okay, you're hired. And I went from bellboy to wearing a tie and a suit. You know, and I worked as a room clerk and all kinds of stuff. And I felt good about that. And I remember I took the GED test also. Somebody there suggested that I take the GED. So I got my high school diploma. And then at that time there was a Vietnam.
The draft.
Right. It wasn't voluntary like now.
No.
And they were calling some of my friends. And they called me. The Army called me. And since my brother, my older brother, the one I was up there, had been in the Navy, I went to the Navy recruiter. And I showed him the letter, the Army letter. And he said, well, sign here and you're in the Navy now, And I went into the Navy for 4 years.
When did you join?
I joined when I was 21.
Okay.
21 until 25. And I never left the States. I was never on a ship. Because when I went into the Navy, I asked for, first I wanted to be a draftman, but they didn't have an opening for draftman. And then since I had learned some mechanics from my father, because he used to work in cars also. Because I didn't tell you, my father was a mechanic, but he was a mechanic in a bottle. There were bottle making machines.
Oh, so he wasn't a car mechanic. He
No, he
worked for
wasn't a car mechanic. He was of course he knew some about cars. But he worked many years. And he was very good at it because they used to call him at 2 or 3 in the morning because nobody could fix the machine. And he'd have to get up from bed and go to San Juan to fix the machine, So I learned some from watching him work on cars and odds and ends, So I said, man, I can go for airplane mechanics, jet engine mechanic. Jet engine, and I did. So I went to Naval Air, jet engine mechanic. And they sent me to school in Memphis, Tennessee, and then to overhaul jet engines in Pensacola, Florida.
Oh.
So I getting up in the world. And,
so did you stay in Pensacola your whole 4 years?
No. I first went to Great Lakes, Illinois for basic training, boot camp. And then from there to Jacksonville, Florida for 1 year. Because I had to wait for the school in Memphis for 1 year. And then I went to Memphis, and from there I went to Pensacola and back to Memphis. And once I finished school, then they sent me to Meridian, Mississippi. And for the last 2 years. And from there I did my 2 years, another 2 years of reserve. And they asked me to stay, but I didn't, I didn't have any plans really, but I just wanted to get out. I didn't.
Why did you want to get out?
See, backing up, when I lived in New York City, I met some friends which I found to be intellectual. I've always had this yearning for learning, you know, for deep learning, and they were college, you know, college graduated and professionals, and I used to talk to them, and some interesting conversations, you know. And I remember one of them said, "Alex, you are college material." He said to me, "You're college material," and that stuck to me, you know. And plus some of the other guys. I mean, you measure yourself against the other person, you know. And you can tell, you know, you can tell. So when I came out of the Navy, I went to work for Pratt & Whitney Aircraft as a jet engine mechanic, earning good money. And I worked there for just 1 year, one and a half years, really, more. But it was in what's the name of it? It was a small town in Connecticut. I don't remember the name of the town. It was very slow, just you know, just like Ocala, nothing happening.
Yeah.
And I was young. So after a year and a half, I had enough money saved, and I came down to Manhattan where the action was. I was still, you know, looking for enjoyment, and I started driving a yellow taxi in Manhattan. And
did you ever think about going back to the hotel? Or
I tried, but it wasn't. I don't know. It wasn't fun anymore. Yeah, I started driving the taxi. You know, it seemed like more fun. And then what else happened? I had a car, which was parked most of the time. I had a car which I had brought from Mississippi. Does this sound like a long story? Or?
No, I'm just waiting. Yeah.
Story of my life.
Well, I mean, the thing that
So far it doesn't relate to art at all, right?
Well, the thing that I find interesting about it is that you really have kind of done every job so far. Like, and that's not even like the end yet. I mean, you know, like every part of a hotel job, then you join the Navy, you were a mechanic, and like now you're a taxi driver. It's just like these like interesting little, you know, like just jobs that you don't really think about. Like they're completely disconnected from each other, but you've done them just,
Well, that's
like
how,
you said, just accidentally.
that's how disconnected I was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but it makes sense. I mean, if you know, you're just trying to find like what's a way to make money, what's a way to make it in like a, you know, kind of like an interesting, unique way. It's like, well, I drive. Let me see if I can drive other people around.
Well, I was, you know, I was going to parties, and I needed some money, and I, you know, went to go dancing and meet the opposite sex, and, you know. Well, when you're young, you want to have fun, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, where was I? The taxi. And I had this car. I had the car. Oh, okay. At one time, I don't know if I missed some. But at one time, I was driving the car, and the car was the brake on the car, you know, needed some maintenance, and I didn't take care of that. So at one time, I hit this woman, and she just lucky for me, I didn't. It wasn't much, but I took her to the hospital, you know. But it went on top of the hood, you know. She ended up on top of the hood, and I take and she was Puerto Rican. Lucky for me, she was also, you know, Puerto Rican. So I visited two or three times every day, two I think 3 or 4 days until she got out of the hospital, and she didn't sue me or anything. On no police involved or anything, you know. And I was lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot to tell you about an accident that I had in the Navy.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving, drunk driving, and I got off the road and rolled up the car, and that's why I have this car on top of my head. I almost lost my life there.
Oh wow.
Okay, see, so that was a close call.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, that's one of the things but I have not learned my lesson yet.
Mm.
Okay, so the thing is that after I hit the woman in New York City, I guess it seemed to me that was one of the cues for me to do, to change. So I remember my father. My father always wanted me to be a lawyer. Because he was in politics, and some lawyers used to come to our house and speak politics. So I said, I'm going to have to, I want to go back to the island. I want to go to college. So I did that. I flew down, and I got there so late that it was too late to go into college.
Mm.
I had to wait another year. So he got me a job in mechanics with the government, fixing old cars and ambulances. And I finally got into, to all the tests, and finally got into college. And I think from there on, the rest is history. Once I read, I always say this, once I read a novel by Ernesto Sabato. He was an Argentinian writer. The tunnel. It was a novel. I could not get. I had to finish the novel from cover to cover, without ending, without stopping. And I said, how can this guy with ink on paper make me feel this way? I said, art is a powerful thing, very powerful. And I guess, of course I had been to museums in New York City, and I was drawing. I've been drawing ever since I can remember, like I said. In the Navy I used to draw.
What would you draw in the Navy? I know when you were...
Anything that I can see. I have hundreds. Even now I showed Alexandria the paintings which I did in 1 or 2 minutes, and I have a box full of hundreds of I don't know if a couple of thousands or maybe more of drawings that I've done over the years. I've always liked to draw. So where was I?
Oh, we were talking, you were in college now, in Puerto Rico.
Okay, I started college, and the novel. Okay, and then when I in basic, the first year, that in college the first year they teach you a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And it was I liked it. It was my music. They made me think about in wider terms. The Greeks, the Romans, everything. Just opened my mind. I was thinking so little. With the taxi and my mechanics, and I was thinking little. So and I started reading on my own, besides the textbooks in college, and I started reading philosophy. From Plato to Socrates, Spinoza, Kant, everybody, everybody. And I loved it, and even though those philosophies they didn't agree with each other, but they made me think about what I thought. See, and about what we were talking about before. You didn't, no answers.
Yeah, exactly.
But no answer is the answer. See?
Yeah, and that there is, that the pursuit of knowledge is enough. That there doesn't have to be an answer, there doesn't have to be a number, it's just the pursuit or trying to grapple with complex ideas is the part. And that's, I think, the thing that's hard, is like grappling that there isn't an answer, you might not be able to arrive at an answer, but by tackling these like difficult, complex ideas, maybe we can come up with just a way to better understand it. I think is the kind of value of it.
Okay.
Doesn't make it any better, but just like grappling with like these like difficult concepts means something.
I mean, we can back up to this stage that we're talking right now, but what I'd like to say is when I studied accounting, I went for it because since I had the experience of the jobs, I knew where the jobs were, and what paid most money with just a bachelor's degree, without having to study.
Yeah, because initially you said your dad wanted you to be a lawyer, and you and you didn't want to keep going.
No, I did. After I finished the bachelor's degree, I took the test to go into law school.
Oh, okay.
And they accepted me. There is they have a couple of tests. One comes from Princeton, and the other one is a local test. And none of my brothers had passed it.
Oh wow.
My older brother, my oldest brother, tried. He took it 3 times and he didn't, because they see that they out of 3,000 they picked 200 students per year, and I was one of them. And I showed it to my father. Look at this. So I started. But I was already working at the Justice Department for the government.
Oh.
As an accountant.
Oh, okay. What was your work like that? Or what was your work there like? What were you doing?
Silly stuff, government. Yeah, I think most government jobs are. I mean, you work for the. Work for the. I'm sorry to say it. I look for challenge, for the challenge, and I quit law school after almost a year. I was almost a year there, because in my eyes, this is of course my opinion. In my eyes, most lawyers are not into to make a better world.
Gotcha.
They not only are they there to make money, but the law profession is very funny in a way, because you end up believing your own lies. This is my own personal. Of course. Since the purpose is to win, not to find the truth. See, you're in to win, not to. If you know something that is true, but it's not to your own advantage, you're not going to say it.
That's true. That's true.
And if there is something that you can make it grandeur, to make it appear better than what it really is. I mean, let's say there is a little truth, but you can make it appear much better, then you're going to go for that, so that you can win. See, and in that process over the years, you get formed as a person. I mean, see, because the profession that you follow forms you, molds you. It's like I tell my children, when you meet a dentist, the first thing he's going to do is look at your teeth, because he is molded that way. He has been molded that way. So it's the same thing with every profession. And the law profession is, I think it's very dangerous. You start believing your own lies. You have to. It's my own personal.
No, it's just interesting. It's interesting. Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm generalizing, you know, because there are some good lawyers, and which I'm sure they have good values and all that.
Yeah. I've never personally met one, but I'm sure that one of them does. No, that's a joke. A very good.
I have another joke for you. See, lawyers are like bananas. You could never see a straight one. It's very difficult to find a straight.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it really depends on what they do. Because I have a friend. She's a public defender. She's been a public defender for like 6 years, and I mean it's a hard job. It's a really, 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 really hard job. Mm-hmm. But she's never wanted to do any other thing. She's been a defense. She's been in public defense since she graduated, and she's done it for years. And that's the only law job she wants to do. She doesn't want to.
And she argues that she goes to court and argues.
Oh yeah, she's a public. She's a public defender. It's people who've been arrested for. She had. She's a lot of her like defendants are petty crimes, petty theft. You know, they stole.
Yeah.
In Florida, if you steal more than $300, it's a felony.
Okay.
So, I mean, it doesn't take a lot before you get the $300 worth of value of something. So, it's a lot of petty theft. People shoplifting from stores, you know, that kind of thing. It's just a lot of, like, super, super, super poor people. And that's her job. She loves it, but it's...
I'm probably generalizing, yeah.
No, but it's
good and bad everything.
No. But what I think is interesting is that it really does kind of seem like it depends on what you want to do being a lawyer, because there's so much.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can be, you
could be a lawyer and never go to court.
You can do that too. I mean, there's a lot that do real estate, or they do, you know, some other sort of finance, some bunch of transactions. I mean, estates, wills, all that kind of stuff. I mean, you just draw up legal documents like that. Or you could be, an in-house counsel for some.
I had a friend in Tim. His name is Tim.
Yeah.
Very, very good person. You know, all his family religious, and he's religious, so he goes to church, and he never goes to court. He's a lawyer, and he deals with finances.
That's
very, very good person. You know.
Yeah, but
he lives next door, and we made we're very good friends. So 3 years in Ocala.
It's just interesting how, you think about like lawyers as like a specific type of job, and there's so much variability in like what they do day to day. Almost like being a lawyer is like being anything else. It's just like you could be, like you said, you could just so much of it. That's all. So it just made me think about like lawyers.
I don't know. It just seemed to me that wasn't.
Well, also
that wasn't my spot, you know.
Yeah.
Because another thing is that it's very difficult for me to think of my feet.
Oh yeah.
You know, I love to write, because I can go back and erase this and match this with this and make it like a work of art, you know. But as a lawyer in court, you can't do that. You have to be able to think on your feet and answer. Argue your point. You know, you have to really master that. And I get nervous. You know, I get nervous when I'm like right now. So you know, kind of nervous.
Well, you shouldn't be, but I get it. Yeah.
I try to relax, I like to relax, you know, I like to, because when I'm relaxed, is the deepest thoughts occur when you're relaxing, not when you're under pressure.
So do you think that's why you like accounting? It's a lot of like solitary work. It's, you know, it's stuff that, you know, it's methodical, but it's analytical.
Well, when I went into accounting, I thought about numbers. I didn't really know exactly what I was getting into. Of course, nobody knows what you're getting into until you are in it, right? Mm-hmm. But I thought that it was a sure job, you know. It was to me that was important, you know, to have a job that I can find, to have a profession that I can find a job, and it isn't that I, because my whole heart is not into it. It never was in accounting. It is in art, you know. But and it's a job that I can go home and forget about it until the next morning, you know, and then I can go back and.
Well, that's nice. Yeah.
You know, it isn't something that I have to. Of course, after a while, I got into manager, because I ended up as a manager, which I had 13, 14 people under me.
Oh, wow.
Two supervisors and because I worked in making Q-tips and perfumes in an American factory in Puerto Rico. Yeah, at one time I had $12 million under my responsibility in inventory. Yeah, 14 people, 2 supervisors. So I ended up, I had to know what I was doing. And so that's how my wife was. My wife, by the way, is also an accountant.
Oh,
of course she's got a master's degree. I only have a bachelor's degree.
So you said initially you were working for the Justice Department, right? That was your first job?
Yes, when I got out of college, I went into as an accountant to the Puerto Rico's Justice Department. Yes. Okay. We were analyzing. That was on the 3rd floor. The 2nd floor was all lawyers. And whenever there was something that had to do with numbers and analyze, like statistics.
Yeah.
I remember one time there was I don't know if you remember the Schaefer beer.
Yeah.
The Schaefer beer had it seemed at that time that they had a monopoly in Puerto Rico.
Really?
So the local beer, which was Medalla that time. Medalla, was it Medalla or no, India beer. They won against Schaefer beer, and we had to do some statistical analysis to find out what was going on. In the end, nothing came out of it because it was the public's choosing one beer over another. I remember they even brought some beer to be drank by everybody, to find out if one tasted better than the other. There was So, but nothing came out. Nothing came out. So that I was doing accounting, 3rd floor, but it wasn't a challenging job because most of the time there was nothing to do really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were in the Justice Department for a little while. What was your next job after that?
Okay, from there I went to work for at that time it was one of the 8. There was the eight biggest public accounting firms, and I went to Haskin and Sells. Now it's Deloitte Haskin and Sells.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, my daughter, one of the with eyeglasses over there on the right, used to work in Boston for PwC.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's an accountant.
Big family of accountants you got here.
It's
a lot of accountants.
And she makes a lot of money, but my other daughter makes a lot more. She's a psychiatrist.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I only worked in public accounting for about a year, because it's a slavery thing. You know? It's really bad. You know? I admire my daughter because she stayed about what 5 years with maybe not that long, 4 years. Yeah. And from there, I took a job as a supervisor for Beckman Instruments in Carolina, which is closer to San Juan. That was another thing, because Haskin and Sells was 1 hour away from Caguas, which is my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I moved to Ponce, to be close to where I used to work. So I started working at Beckman, and I stayed there 2 years, maybe 2 years. And I applied for this job at Chisborough Ponce, which is Unilever. It's a Unilever.
Yeah, okay.
Unilever. As a supervisor, accounting supervisor. And from there, I guess the general manager was a Cuban. He got a liking to me. I used to tell him jokes and that. There was some chemistry. He was Cuban, and I treated him. I treated him as if he was on my same level. Of course, there was a couple of levels down.
Yeah.
But I didn't care. I don't know. I was free. And so there was one general manager that was fired. Not general manager, materials manager fired, and they were looking for a materials manager and a supervisor to supervise inventory and production planning, that kind of thing. So the general manager came to me and he offered me the position of supervisor, and they had somebody else as manager. Eventually they made me manager after 5 years. And that was, I did my job and I learned a great deal. Like I said, my whole heart was not into that, But I did a good job. I improved many things there. My problem was, and up to today I regret that I didn't publicize. See, they used to say, well, when you do things, publicize. Let them people know that you're doing that. And I used to think, I used to see all the other managers do petty things, and they used to call everybody into the conference room and let them know, and with the visuals and everything, the whole. But I remember one time, I was Sunday. It was Sunday. I loved the computer. I like computers also. I've learned a great deal about computers, and I was on a Sunday on my own. I didn't have to be there, and I was programming because I learned how to program, and I was programming inventory. How to do certain things that were being done manually. I programmed them, and the computer just spit the information out. And I was all by myself in the factory, the big factory. I was the only person and the guard outside. And guess who who came to the factory that day, the general manager. And he saw me and he said, "What are you doing here? Sunday." And I showed him, I'm doing all this. So, you know, I didn't publicize, but I guess rest in peace, he's dead now. You know. But he helped me a great deal. Yeah. So, what else can I tell you? We made, my wife and I, she was, well, she's another story, you know, my wife.
Well, how did you two meet?
That's a long story.
Okay.
And
Okay.
complicated.
Okay.
When I started working in Beckman Instruments, I mean, after a year, I think I was working in Beckman Instruments, I got married to a Puerto Rican girl. But it didn't work out, you know. You know, it didn't work out, and let me see, before I met her, and before I got married, I had met my current wife,
Oh.
talking about 40 some years. We've been married 35 years. And we, I started teaching at this community college. I started teaching accounting for secretaries. And she was there. And we clicked with, we had an affair. And, but I still didn't know where I was going. I was telling Alexandria, I'm up in the clouds, and my wife has been the one that has gotten me on the right track, you know. But we had a very hot affair, you know, my wife and I, when I was teaching at the community college. But I met the other girl who I eventually married, and I had to decide, you know. So I had 2 children by my previous wife, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out, and I saw my Miriam, my current wife, one time, and we just went back immediately. You know, it was love. It was love, and I could never, you know, get over it. And we've been together for 35 years. And all she has to do is look at my eyes, and I look at her eyes, and I know what she's thinking, you know. It's chemistry. Yeah. Did I miss anything?
No. So
Yeah.
so how long total were you an accountant for?
How long was I an accountant?
Yeah.
Wow. Since 19... Let me see, 19... I even forgot when I got out of the year that I got out of college. Oh,
Check and see if it's listed in here.
did I say? A long time. Until 1995.
And that's when you
Until
retired from accounting?
1995 that I retired.
Okay. And the whole time that you were doing accounting work,
The whole time I was painting, and I was teaching on Saturdays art. 2 in the morning, 2 hours in the morning, and 2 hours in the afternoon to children and adults. I used to teach lawyers and engineers, medical doctors, and children in the morning, and adults in the afternoon.
So how did you get interested in teaching?
Wow, that's a good question. Okay. When I wanted to get serious, when I got serious into art, which was, I think when I got out of the Navy, I think I started getting serious, really serious. I could not find anybody. I could not find any artist to teach me the basics, what art was really about. And sometimes I would meet an artist, somebody that I admire, and they'd be so conceited, and in Spanish we say, like, as if he had the devil by its tail,
Huh.
Like I couldn't do it. You've met people like that that they think you're unable to do things, They don't, or they don't want to teach you because they have some secrets, or I don't know, some secrets or whatever.
Yeah, or you're like you're so far beneath where they are that you can't. There's like you can't get to where they are.
They make you feel bad,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I said, I guess all along I thought when I learn this, I'm gonna go deep into that, and when I really know all this, I'm gonna simplify it and teach it to whoever wants to learn. And I did that. I'm doing that right now through Facebook. Through Facebook, I have a group of 11,000 and some people.
Oh.
Including Spain, Mexico, you name it, whichever. There are 21 countries that speak Spanish, and all of them are there. And I make it clear, that whoever joins is it has to do with learning, the didactic, and they have to be humble. You can't be, you know it all. Nobody knows. I tell them all the time, we are all students. In this group, we are all students. And that's more that I love teaching, and that's why I teach. I don't think it should be over anybody. Sometimes it's like people want to analyze things. That's another thing. People, whenever you're feeling something, let's say you have a feeling about something, you're in love, or you are listening to music, you're in a mood, right? You're seeing a great painting, or you're feeling, and you try to analyze it, you lose the feeling.
Yeah.
You can't do both at the same time. So my daughter in Miami, we were in Miami 2 days ago, and I was listening to this, it was a cello, Adagio, Hauser, and it sounded, real, it's good. And I was listening to it, and she asked me, who is that? Who? And I said, that's music. She asked the wrong question. She has to feel it. When you walk into a museum, take a look at the paintings. Don't think about who did it or whatever, just let it sink in. Then after a while, after you really enjoy it, then you walk close to the painting, and then you see how the brush strokes and who signed it on the bottom, the structure. But first you enjoy it, because the purpose of art is to enjoy. That's the most important thing. If you don't enjoy it, you know, what's the use of it? It's to enjoy. The same thing with music, is to enjoy. After you enjoy, then you find out who's playing the cello, and it's made out of wood, and the strings and all that, you know, all the little details. No, the first through the year.
Do you want to take a pause? Do you have to take that call?
Pause.
Oh, okay.
Hello? No?
Break to get donut and go to the bathroom and get some coffee, and then we also kind of talked about politics for a while. So anyway, so why did you decide to move to Central Florida? I know this is probably skipping a little forward.
Okay,
And also, when did you move to Florida?
yes, well, both of our daughters moved to the States.
Okay.
The accountant,
Mhm.
my younger daughter, moved to Boston
Okay.
to go to college.
Okay. Where did
She
you
went
go?
to BU,
Oh.
Boston University,
Okay.
and my other daughter went to Jackson Memorial Hospital to finish her MD degree.
Where's Jackson?
Miami.
Miami.
Jackson,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
And so we decided to move to United States, but Miami was very expensive, and we moved to Ocala to be, so to speak, well, it was cheaper, cheaper to move to Ocala. We bought a house there.
Mm-hmm. Were you both retired by then?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, we were both retired. And so I had to travel almost about 5 hours. My stomach. About 5 hours to Miami from Ocala every so often.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to be closer to, so we sold the house in Ocala and bought this house.
Okay.
In St. Cloud. We are now about 3 hours and
Same.
3 hours and 15 minutes from.
And you basically just take the turnpike, right? That's pretty much it. To go to Miami?
We go there once.
No, I just meant like the way that you take. You just take the turnpike, pretty much.
Yeah, the turnpike.
Yeah.
Turnpike.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when did you move to Ocala? What year, roughly?
Well, about 6 years ago. So it'd be 2000 and
2013? 12?
About that, yeah, 2013,
Okay.
around that date.
So you retired from
I
accounting
retired
in 95.
yes, from Puerto Rico.
Yeah, 95. And then you started teaching art
No, I taught
Oh,
for
it's
28 years.
28 years. Okay. Okay.
Yes, until I taught until I moved to the United States.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So when you moved to Ocala, what did you do in your spare time?
I showed my work of art at Brick City. I think it's written there.
Mm-hmm.
Brick, and also at the City Hall.
Mm-hmm.
Two or three places in Ocala.
Okay.
But there wasn't that much art in
Ocala.
In Ocala.
Mm-hmm. So what about, are there any pieces that you remember kind of displaying in like any Orlando shows that you'd like to talk about?
Oh, yes, in Orlando.
Sorry, like Central Florida shows. Doesn't have to
Okay,
be Orlando.
okay. When we moved to St. Cloud, I went to. I'm trying to think about how I met Jose and Angel.
Oh, okay.
They were my my connection to
Oh yeah, that's a
to
good
art,
idea.
to
Yeah.
art here in Central Florida.
Yeah, so maybe that's a good idea. How did you join the arts collective?
Yes, I went to Osceola Arts and I met Marilyn Cortez Lovato. I don't know if you know.
No, I haven't interviewed her.
Okay, she is the visual arts director there, and I think she was the one that introduced me to Jose, and Jose introduced me to Angel.
Okay.
From there, then Angel asked me, came over here with Jose, and so what my work, and he asked me to show his the work, some paintings at his. Have you been to?
The barbershop?
Yes, the bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I showed my work there. I also showed my work at Orlando City Hall. And another place, can't remember, there was another.
Okay. What about what are some of the pieces that you would have displayed at those shows? Do you remember?
Okay, I showed this piece
Okay.
and also the chess players, the
Oh,
one
the
that
chess
you
players?
saw in the computer.
Yeah.
And I showed that piece over there with the banana tree.
Oh yeah. Okay. Why? So what was the inspiration behind that?
Okay, these are teenagers at home in Caguas, in my hometown, Caguas. They were sitting on a tall fence, waiting to play some basketball. I wanted to catch, the Puerto Rican have different skin colors. They can be as dark as that teenager up there, and the other one, and they can be as light as this one, and with the shades falling in between. See, although so I wanted to be like a rainbow of colors portraying the Puerto Rican culture. The people of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
And also, of course, the colors and I really think about art in terms of not of subject matter, but not entirely of subject matter, but in terms of how it impacts, visually, impacts me visually, imparts emotionally. That's difficult to describe. I see something and for some reason I like the way it looks. It impacts me emotionally. So it could be almost anything. I can be watching an old man on a bench, on a park bench, and maybe the light hitting his forehead or part of his body or whatever, I like that. I start drawing the person. I draw constantly, I have drawings that I've done in hospitals, like waiting for the dentist, or I have to go someplace and wait for my wife, and I see somebody there, and I just I have to like it first, like what I'm seeing. Yeah, and it doesn't have to be people either, it has to be. It could be a building. Could be like in Miami, I painted a front of an apartment, the yellow. I love the way that the light was hitting the garage door. The projected shadow on the garage door, plus there was a tree in front. That painting is going to be shown at Osceola Arts. So the subject matter is not entirely what drives me. What drives me to paint. It has to do with the structure, I guess. The structure, the contrasts. I'm a big follower of Rembrandt. See, that's what some painters are colorists and some are tonalists. I consider myself a tonalist, although as you can see, I place a lot of colors in my painting, but I consider the tones, the black, the contrast, black and white, the most important. That's what really drives me to paint or draw something.
So, besides that painting, are there any other ones that you have like a memorable story you'd like to share about how something you saw that kind of inspired you to paint this?
Well, the domino players, of course, I painted that in Puerto Rico, and it was sold to a private collector.
It is a beautiful piece.
Puerto Rico. It was. I used to go to this place next to a bar. They used to. Well, you saw them. They used to play the dominoes there, and I used to draw them. And I took some photographs from different angles, and eventually I was able to do the composition, moving things here and there. I changed some colors. Reality is never perfect for a painting. As a painter, you have to move things around so you get a good composition. And like I said before, sometimes I'm very analytical about that, and sometimes I'm more spontaneous. Like you didn't see the nudes, and I did 64 paintings of nudes.
Oh.
Spontaneous. They're in the garage. So I always play with being spontaneous, but being structured. Yeah. I'm always between two drives.
It also seems hard to make spontaneous art because of how much has to go into making a piece.
How much?
How much effort it takes to make a piece. That moment that you're inspired by passes, so quickly.
Right.
And then you have this like multi-hour, potentially multi-day project afterwards that you have to kind of create afterwards.
Well, you have to rely on memory many times, because especially when there are people involved. I rely on photos. If the person is not physically available to pose, then I have to rely on several photos and try to remember what I saw, because photographs don't have all the, they're limited information, and move things around in such a way that I get a good composition.
So, what did you think of, the area when you first moved here?
In St. Cloud?
Yeah.
Order? Yeah. No, it's very, I like it, very peaceful. I like, I don't know if it's because of my age. I like to be, I like quiet, quiet, peaceful. Makes me think deeper about the things I do. about life in general, art. Today, there is art is going through a difficult time in terms of so many, so much input. Not only in art, the information is overpowering. It's so much information. So it's a lot of different information. Difficult to get the essence.
Sometimes it just feels like there's a lot of noise
Instead
instead of like information. It's just a lot. It's
Yes.
almost like there's so much stuff thrown at you constantly
Yeah.
that it's hard to make sense of it.
Right.
It's like,
Well, when I say information, I mean
yeah,
input.
yeah, exactly. No, you're right. But it's just it's so much.
It's so through the media, through the social media. People, there are so many more people today than ever, right?
Mhm.
In the planet,
Mhm.
and
And a lot more platforms for people to talk.
it's incredible. Netflix, you can watch whatever you want. If you like stand-up comedians, they whole bunch to pick from. You want series, you want movies, you want so much, And when you have a lot, the selection is so much more difficult. So that is difficult when you're trying to create something unique. It makes it more difficult. But I don't want to do more of the same, right? I've been to so many galleries and museums, and I mean, why do the same? Try to do something different, something unique, and that's not easy. It's not easy.
Do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a question about your self-portraits, because there are few, and you're very serious on those self-portraits. But we've been here for a while, and you're smiling a lot and joking, and you're not that very serious,
Well,
you know what I mean?
It probably has to do with concentration. When I'm painting, I'm concentrating, and I guess I'm thinking about creating something different. I do a lot of portraits because I'm a model that's always available. And I don't charge anything. And I can practice forever with the light and colors, and it isn't because I'm narcissistic, but because I'm available, and the skin colors bring a lot to learn from. Yeah. But I guess the seriousness has to do with concentration. I think that's what it is. It's not because I have problem.
No, I was just wondering why do you like to portray yourself as very serious man?
Yeah. If I were to portray myself smiling or laughing, then it may not look natural, right? Natural.
But why? You smile
Mhm.
a lot.
But
Why you don't think it would be natural?
difficult to think about doing something serious, because painting is a serious business. It's very serious. Vincent van Gogh used to say that it was a matter of life and death. So serious, Of course, he did something about it. Right? But it's concentration. It's serious, you know. It's very difficult to think about what you're doing and trying to do it better and better, and be smiling at the same time. Right? Unless you're an actor, right? I guess performing arts is different. You have to, being an actor, you have to be able to laugh and smile and be concentrating at the same time. Maybe I have to think about that. Paint myself laughing or smiling more.
So did you have any, did you have any family that stayed in Puerto Rico during the last big hurricane, Maria?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. So how did it affect your family on the island?
Well, in Puerto Rico, all my family, all the family members that I know of, live in concrete houses with, very well built. That's one thing that's very different from here. Of course, this house is built all around in blocks, concrete blocks, but the roof is wooden. In Puerto Rico, the roofs are concrete, concrete with iron bars.
I didn't know that was
So
possible.
they are like a fort. I mean, I'm talking about the houses that are built in communities, not out in the country. Of course, there's a lot of houses in the country that are also built that way, but many of them are wooden houses, and those are the ones that suffer the most. So that's why Maria did a lot of damage, and a lot of damage to the electricity and infrastructure.
So your family wasn't like that badly affected by the storm?
No, none of them. Thank God.
Have you been back to the island since the hurricane?
Have I been back?
Yeah.
No, we haven't. Have we? I think we will, yeah. Maria,
Was last
how
year?
many years? is
2
Maria?
years ago.
2 years, yeah. It was
Oh, no,
2017.
we haven't been back. No, we
Oh,
haven't
okay.
been back yet.
Okay.
Just 2 years.
Do you have any friends or family who were involved in the most recent protest movement?
Protest?
Yeah, the ones in Puerto Rico,
No, not really, no.
Okay. So I know that we were talking about, your involvement in the local art scene, but how has arts, changed since you first moved here, or what's the art scene like now, or any of that kind of stuff? Just like the local art scene now.
Yes, I've been to a few shows, Ciudad Arts and in Crealde, City Hall, the Angel's barbershop. Where else? You asking in terms of what?
Just generally, kind of your experience with it, or shows that you've been to, anything like that.
Some are good, some are good, some very good. I can't say otherwise.
Okay.
Yes, art is difficult, it's not easy. Many of them, we're all learning, but some of them have to learn, more than others. I've seen some that impressed me. We brought some pieces from Puerto Rico also, from the old timers. Those are good. Yes.
So I know you talked about this a little bit, but you know, you were an art teacher, like you said, for 28 years. How has the internet kind of affected your art teaching? I know you talked about the Facebook group that you started, but you know, how did you start teaching on the internet? How's, you know, that kind of stuff?
Yes, Facebook, the Facebook group that I have is like, I try to make it an extension of the way that I was teaching in Puerto Rico. And of course it's different because I don't have them physically that I can grab the brush and show them. You know, I have to describe with words what I'm seeing of their work and try to show something of my own work and so that they can see what I'm talking about. Maybe I try to be as objective as I can, as objective as one can be in art. You know, I call it fundamentals. I try to stay away from talking about style, subjective things. You know? And I refer like if a person, if one of the students in the group paints something too light or too dark, then I mention that. Or the edge, the edges. I talk about edges. Those are fundamentals. Edges, values, color, complementary colors. You know, when something is far away, it gets fuzzy, right? It not only gets fuzzy, but it gets grayish. Several things, and definition, loose definition. The color goes towards the bluish or violet. Cool colors. Cool colors are green, violet, and blue, right? Those three. Warm colors are yellow, red, and orange. And things far away tend towards cool colors, and the things that are closer are warmer. So when they paint something that doesn't reflect that, it doesn't look natural. You know, sometimes they put a bright red in the distance. That doesn't go with reality. So I mentioned that. Things like that, you know, fundamentals. I stay away from saying something that would be controversial. You know, I try to stay on the mainstream so that, because that's the only way they can learn. Then once they learn the fundamentals, then they can go on to with whatever style or whatever way they want to go.
So, what's been your involvement with the Puerto Rican Arts group? You know, I know you've done a couple shows with them. You know, are you really active in the group? How would you
Yes,
care?
at the beginning I didn't know Angel or Jose, and I did it. I went to. I showed my work in City Hall and Osceola Arts. And another place in downtown Orlando. I forgot the name of it. I was by myself because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any of the other artists. But once I met Jose and Angel, then I started showing with them. I showed at Crialde Barber Shop. We're gonna show at Polasek Museum, and then we're gonna travel to Puerto Rico to show all the work in the most important museum in San Juan.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, that's on for next year,
Oh, great.
2020.
Okay. So how do you think you're treated in the United States as like a Puerto Rican man, just generally by Americans and things like that, or other Americans?
Well, we don't, my wife and I stay home mostly. We go out to restaurants, and sometimes we travel to Ocala, visit some friends. We visit some other. We don't have. We may have one or two American friends. The rest are Puerto Ricans. See, that's why I couldn't. Because I have my wife hasn't had the extensive experience as I have had in the United States. Like I came over here when I was 15, like I said, and I stayed from 15 until I was 28.
Oh wow! Yeah.
And then I came back with her to Connecticut. When she worked in Connecticut for a couple of years, I think it was, and then we went back, and now we are back again. But what I'm trying to say is that she hasn't had the experience. Of course, she has seen the States through my eyes, because I have told her my opinion about which is the question that we were asking. I think in New York, well, maybe your question is directed at prejudice or that that kind of thing.
However you want to answer it.
Yeah. It's an open-end question.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
A trick question. Well, it's obvious that there is a lot of prejudice in the United States, much more than in Puerto Rico, and there is a reason for that. You have a lot more ethnia here, a lot more different people from different nationalities, with different backgrounds and different languages, and which is liable to be to have more conflicts, right? Conflicts between people of different. The communication is not as easy, and plus the racial. There is a racial problem in Puerto Rico. There is the racial problem in Puerto Rico is children's play compared to over here. I'm being blunt and honest, right? And it has gotten better over the years. Because remember, when I was in the Navy in Mississippi in 1967, I lived this. A bathroom, it said color not allowed, or only colored, or whatever, I saw this, and I was, one time was walking, I went into a nightclub with an Afro-American guy, and it was dark, right? They punched my, with a...
Oh, like stamped your hand.
Yeah, with this, how do you call that? The light...
oh, yeah.
Fluorescent. And then when he went to do the same, they told him, right in front of my face, they told him, you're not allowed here. No color allowed. I lived that. He was my friend. And I can tell you so many experiences. When I was in Mississippi, there were two other, in the whole base, naval base, there were two other Puerto Ricans. And I became friends immediately, right? The same language, same culture. One of them was white and the other one was dark. Puerto Ricans. So, and I had to go out of the base to have fun with them, right? I mean, I didn't have to, but it was only natural. I could, with the white Puerto Rican, I could go anywhere. Mississippi. But with the darker, I'd have to go to the separate neighborhood where they had a nightclub, and everybody there was Afro dark. And when I walk in there, you know, everybody was looking at me. What is this guy doing here? You know, but I, you know, like that, as if I, you know, it wasn't. So what I'm trying to say is, you know, that there is a contrast, big contrast. And I lived all that. That was 1966. I don't know when was that they killed Martin Luther King.
68.
68. So, and he did a lot for the Afro-American people. But still, there is so much more to be done, you know.
Yeah.
Because there's so much prejudice. Yeah, so, but in terms of personally, I've it has been how do you say what disguised, you know. But you can tell, you know, you can tell when somebody is. Think less of you, you know, that kind of thing. But I don't let it bother, you know, I don't let it bother me. I do as if I didn't know, or if I didn't care, or whatever. In the hotel, you know, people.
Massey.
Do you want me to pause it? Okay. Back after a quick break for a phone call. All right, so the last question that I normally ask, did you have anything that you wanted to add about, you know, prejudicial stories or anything like that?
No.
Oh, okay. Because you got a phone call in the middle of it. I didn't want to cut you off or anything.
Well, I just wanted to, you know, that was a good question because it opened, you know,
well, it also
the
depends on the
conversation
person.
to what I lived since.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not young, you know. I lived those times. One time I was playing basketball. I used to play basketball in Mississippi with this Afro-American. I mean, there were all other colored people. And this old man in the gas station asked me, why do you play basketball with those niggers? He asked me that. See, you know, experiences like that, you know, it told me that there's a big feeling, and that there's a very strong feelings in terms of racial, you know, the racial thing is strong feelings about that, you know, and I have to be careful. I have to be smart about that, especially down south, because of that's another thing that I wasn't aware, you know, it wasn't that I wasn't aware, I didn't study it, or I hadn't read. I have read now, you know, I have about the Civil War, and all, over here they still fighting the Civil War now.
Yeah, that's true.
I've seen the flags.
Yeah.
You know, that all that has to do with the thing, you know, I have to be careful.
But you also, like, it's interesting, like, from, like, my experience just, like, interacting with, like, Puerto Rican people over time, is, like, there is, like, a real, like, some do face this, like, you know, heavy discrimination from, like, just, like, people in their everyday life, where, you know, a lot of the time it's, like, go back to where you came from, and it's like, well, I'm from here, like, I'm not, like, there's nowhere else for me to go, I'm supposed to be here, bro. Like,
where are you going?
Yeah. You know,
well, the president says that.
Oh, that's true.
Where
Yeah.
you going?
And also, I mean, like, you know, there's a lot of people where a few times in public I've had people, you know, they'll have two workers talking to each other in Spanish, and somebody will walk up to them and is like, you should talk in English. And it's like,
Happened to my wife.
Yeah.
In Connecticut, and she, my wife has a much stronger person. I don't know if you noticed, a much stronger personality than I have, and she doesn't beat around the bush, you know. And she went to the superior, and because she spoke Spanish to another Puerto Rican. Of course, the other Puerto Rican, I think had been born in New York, and how can I say she spoke a lot more English and felt the language and everything. And she also went to the superior, and they called the guy, because there was a guy that called my wife attention to the language, and they told him, they told him off, you can't tell them that to speak English only. So
it's just one of those things. It's like you never really know when you talk to people about like what they could have experienced. It could be perfectly fine, and you never really have those kind of incidents. But sometimes, people have that kind of stuff.
It's a big difference from back home to over here. We have black people. We have black people in Puerto Rico. And we even call them negrito. In fact, just so you know how funny this is, it's really funny. So a lot of women married to a white guy, a white Puerto Rican woman, married to a white Puerto Rican man, calls him negrito. Negrito means little black boy. And it's just a way of showing her love. So how do you explain that?
Don't know. Don't know.
Come over here, negrito. Make love to me, negrito. It's really funny, when you come over here. Well, I came over here when I was 15, I was already formed. In a way, my culture was already formed, right? It was already so, and I started. Of course, I was naive, I didn't know what was happening. I learned that over time.
So, when you were raising your kids, did you speak Spanish at home? Did you teach them English?
Spanish all the time. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, because they grew up in Puerto Rico. So I forgot that part. Yeah. Okay.
Well, even over here, when I travel to Miami, we speak Spanish all the time. Well, sometimes my daughter speaks English to her husband.
Does he not speak Spanish? He doesn't speak Spanish?
No, he speaks Spanish.
Oh, okay.
They both speak broken English. No, it's funny when you
okay, do you have anything? Okay.
So
the last question that I ask everybody is, so like I mentioned before, we're going to keep this interview in our archive forever. For as long as these things can be held in a digital form, we'll have it forever. So somebody that's listening to this interview in 20, 50, 100 years, what's a message you'd like to leave for them? Could be about your art, could be about your life, just anything that's important to you.
Yes, it's going to be about art. Yeah,
Okay.
I think if we didn't have, I think of it this way: if we didn't have art in the world, it would be a very sorry world. Art is a way of being happy, being free. It gives you freedom. It's something that it's honest. It should be honest. In order to do good art, you have to be honest. It's one of the things that you can do that you can enjoy yourself. Think about the good things about life. Not think about the evil or and reconstruct yourself. Be good, be a good, it makes you be a better person. I think that summarizes it. Art makes you be, it makes you be a better person. When you see a painting, when you see a good painting, you know, an extraordinary painting like a Rembrandt, or I see when I walk into a Kunstmuseum in Amsterdam and see not the Night Watch, although that's a very good painting, but I like the Jewish Bride. You know, when you see that painting, and you walk out of the museum, you walk out a different person. It makes you, that painting makes you be a better person. You know, you forget about all the bad people, all the corruption in the world, you know, the racism, you know, everything. You know, it's over. It's high, way up here. You forget about the dirty things, you know. And I think with my paintings, I hope to, when I'm gone, you know, I hope to, you know, for somebody, at least one or two people sees one or two of my paintings and look at it, and makes the painting makes that person be a better. And if he is a better person, he won't do evil. You know, I mean that I don't know. That would be it.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. All right. Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much.
Thank you
very
for
much.
coming to my home.
Yeah.
My humble
Thank you
home.
for hosting.